Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Good afternoon, good morning, good after lunch, depending on where you're at, but glad you're here. So welcome to the Lady Titans Spotlight series. So if you are new to Lady Titans, or maybe this is your first Spotlight series, we're so glad to have you. I can definitely tell you you are in the right space. So our Spotlight series is designed to every single month, we're going to bring on a different speaker, put a spotlight on that speaker, and let them bring something valuable to you guys. So whether that's from leadership, personal development, it could be about a specific topic. It rotates every single month. And so that is some great value that we're adding to you guys. But then also we have our Lady Titans Lounge, which is completely different from the Spotlight series, where there is no agenda, there is no script, there is no recordings. But it is really just a safe space, a girlfriend coffee chat, if you will, just where you can come and bring any ideas, any hardships, maybe you just need someone to celebrate some wins for. The Lady Titans Lounge is a great place to ask any and all those questions that you might have. And we've seen things from, hey, we're looking to implement a new maintenance program. What are some things I need to know? Hey, I'm having this problem in my software. Hey, I'm looking to hire this person. Does anyone have a SOP? And I tell you, the Lady Titans Lounge has been able to solve so many of the world's problems. And so it's always a great thing if you can join us for that. So, couple quick announcements. One, this is super exciting, guys, but at Pantheon, it is official that we are going to be able to have a block party on the opening night of Pantheon on Monday, October 5th. So very similar to last year, we have secured a space. It is going to be so fun. So we are working and planning on all the fun details, what the theme is going to be, getting some amazing partners and sponsors. And so if you're going to be at Pantheon, make sure that you are carving some time out to attend the block party. It's always going to be the highlight. And speaking of that, if you would like to be a part of helping plan the party or any other type of committee that Lady Titans has, fill out this survey. So I'm dropping it down in the chat there, just a simple little Google form of how you might want to get involved, whether it's through the party or anything else. We have tons of opportunities. We want to get you plugged in. And so you can fill that out below. Also, just be checking for all your emails. We sent out one for the committee yesterday, I think, or it might have even been this morning. Days all running together, but that's a great way to help keep connected. So join our Facebook group, make sure to sign up for all of our emails, and you'll get to stay in the loop. So I feel like I've been chatting at you guys for a little bit, but I want to jump to our Spotlight Series speaker. So she is no stranger to me by any means. Our guest today is Crystal Williams. She is my business partner here at Lemon Seed and is a ton of knowledge from living inside of contractor world to everything marketing, fantastic at culture, and is a very dynamic speaker. And so I'm so excited to have her with us today. So Crystal, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, ma'am.
Woohoo! Hello, guys. So excited. I'm always jealous when I hear Emily on these calls all the time. I'm like, I have got to go join because they're always so much fun. So thank you guys for having me today. I'm excited to talk through basically what I call the roadmap of marketing and how I'm hoping you guys can change or refresh or reinvigorate your mindset about marketing, how Lemon Seed does it, how we approach marketing as a whole. I do, like Emily mentioned, I come from the trades. I'm a hashtag trade baby. So literally my grandfather, then my dad, now my brother. And I worked in it when I didn't want to, and then I worked in it when I wanted to. So came back to doing the marketing for the company in 2014. We grew exponentially by creative marketing strategies, branding strategies, and also good operations. And so I'll be the first one to tell you, and Emily, I have a marketing company, a strategic company. Operationally strong companies are the ones that grow. Marketing is just the icing on the cake, right? It helps operators operate better. But marketing is not a band-aid for bad operations. If anything, it brings to light if you think you have operational problems now, layer on extensive and hardcore marketing, and it starts really opening your eyes where sometimes we even have to pull back. So I want to talk through a couple of things. The first one is like marketing is not a silver bullet. Contractors call us all the time. And they're like, what can I turn on today? I need leads today. If I just had leads today, I could do everything else. It just doesn't work that way for very long. There are things that we call sprints. So outbound calling, lead aggregators like Yelp and eLocal and all of those, the Angies of the world, and those things, email marketing, maybe some Facebook ads, again, maybe those things are meant to be a little bit more sprint, right? Like quicker, but they also tend to be a lower quality lead than when we really are working on building our brand up so that people are looking for us directly when they need us, offering things during the shoulder season, because marketing is such a long game. And if you can get your mind set on, it's like a game of chess. You sit down, you never get to get up because you're constantly like, okay, what's next step, right? Like, okay, because about the time you get it figured out, bam, an algorithm changes. One of your vendors loses their mind, like, what, y'all were so great, and then what happened? Or let me give y'all this because y'all are going to relate to this. Or you change account managers, and you're like, okay, this was perfection until she got promoted or pregnant, like, and then and then it was over with, right? Like, now I've got an issue. So that happens, and listen, we're on the backside of that. It happens. But the sooner you, as the contractor, can get your mind wrapped around, the companies that win are the ones with a consistent, bold slash risky strategy, not random tactics, not all the fancy add-ons on top of add-ons on top of add-ons, and everything being just thrown at the wall and you just clapping for yourself when something finally works, right? You're like, you kind of don't really know what you're doing, but you know to be doing it. So I think a lot of contractors live in that space, but I'm telling you, it's, if you don't want to live frustrated with marketing, you have to live in the headspace that it's not a silver bullet. And how can you be building your company for long-term success, long-term growth, brand growth? Every day that you get more people searching for Crystal's Heating and Air or Crystal's Plumbing or Crystal's Pools, Crystal's Pest Control, it doesn't matter. The sooner you get them searching for that, the lower your cost per acquisition becomes, and the better qualified those leads are, the higher your tickets are going to be, the higher your conversion is going to be, the more memberships are. All roads lead back to top of mind awareness. So I stay really strong about that. And then before I go into the next ones, I want to tell you, I'm going to leave. Emily said I could leave a few minutes at the end, and I want a contractor that's willing to go in the hot seat about their marketing. Like, come off mute, tell us about your marketing strategy, and let me strategize for you a little bit here off the cuff. It's a little scary, but I'm normally pretty good at it. So if you're one to be thinking about that, and then if for some reason there's too many of you, I'm happy to do it offline too. But just be thinking if maybe you want to bring a couple of your struggles to the come off mute here in a little bit. So a strong marketing strategy, if you ask Lindsay, if you ask Crystal and Emily, there's 3 pillars that we focus on. And these can be reworded to whatever fits your mindset, but I'm going to tell you, this is what we've discovered to be the best. We've worked with hundreds, if not 1,000 by now, different home service companies. But the biggest bucket that people skip is the memorable bucket. That is brand awareness. This is where you are infiltrating your market with your logo, with your how you want people to feel, with your community involvement, with your social media. This is where it separates the men from the boys, or the girls from the women, if you will, because this is where you become memorable and sticky. So this is why truck wrap matters. This is why if you're going to do things in the community, you got to put up a banner. You got to use yard signs. You need to be doing something to where people are like, man, everywhere I look, there they are. This is why mascots are popular, because there's such a low barrier of entry for people to make a connection to your brand. Not everybody loves a mascot. Listen, I don't care what I love if it's going to bring me leads, right? But it's, again, this is all about a mind shift of, I got to be memorable. So I want you to think right now, what are you doing that is just to be memorable? You're not expecting a huge immediate return. You're doing it just to be memorable. Most of you are doing community involvement. You're just not talking about it, right? Maybe you don't want to, but we have a little secret sauce for that, right? Most of you are probably doing some sort of social media. If you're not, at least do something. But also even on your own personal social media, not just your company social media. But then it goes into the things like the billboards, the radio, the OTT, the CT, all that cool stuff. There is so many cool things you could be doing right now. So that's bucket number one, building brand awareness, becoming sticky where people can't help but think of you for whatever problem you solve. If they walk out to the backyard and there's a swimming pool back there, you want them thinking of you and your pool floats that you give them at the local festival, right? We want them thinking of us. Number two is the discoverable part. This is where y'all like to live because this is like a little bump of cocaine, I think, for y'all. So this is a discoverable bucket. This is where it feels a little bit better because you're actually able to see it in real life. It's happening in real time, right? So branding things, they're harder to measure, so we tend to discount them. But listen, some of y'all will sign up for $10,000 a month in PPC that's generating $2,000 a month, but won't cut it because it's like cocaine. You can see it. You feel good about it. You feel good about losing money intentionally, right? Like that's literally what we see happen. But that second bucket is what are you investing in right now that is designed to be responsive when people are searching for your service? So this is response marketing, right? So this is the marketing that is your pay-per-clicks, your GLSAs, your SEO, right? See, Caitlin says she felt that on PPC. I literally looked at that Thursday of last week. A client spending $25,000 on PPC. You know what it created? What it generated? $1,800. I don't know about y'all. That is not, I don't really want to support the PPC company with my company's money just for fun. I'm fine to do it if it was just overall as an average helping me make money. But that discoverable bucket gets out of control quicker because again, it's so much easier to explain if there's somebody that you have to explain that spin to. It's also, again, it's like a little dopamine hit, like, oh yeah, I turned on PPC because this is working. GLSA, I'm gonna tell you right now, you know what, most of you won't even admit it to yourself. You don't answer the phone well enough to really capitalize on GLSA. I see it every day. There are great companies and there are decent companies, and then there are terrible at answering the phone, but you're mad at the product. That's a real pandemic right now. Digital companies get the bad end of the stick sometimes, but they also don't help themselves. But that discoverable side of the business is where you have to be intentional about where you're budgeting your money, and you have to have a tool to measure what is actually working because you're setting expectations for everywhere you're investing money. So if I'm investing money in billboards, my expectation is I will measure success by organic growth. That is not sexy at all because you're going to be like, oh, great, 35 more people searched me directly versus you're going to turn on PPC and you'll be like, heck yeah, 30 times ROAS here, like killing it. And that number hits the bottom line. So it's much easier to be enthralled with that discoverable bucket because, again, it's just dopamine and all of that. But so many people just are throwing money away in that bucket. And we find it all the time. And then the third, and what we would say is the final bucket that, again, it's either feast or famine for contractors, is the fosterable bucket. Fosterable. This is where we foster the leads that we already earned at another time. So at some point in time, people trusted us to use our service. They're now inside of our inside of our Service Titan. And now we need to nurture those customers to keep them, number one, top of mind, because especially those of you that are multi-service, you are way sleeping on the fosterability of those customers for cross promotion and for age of equipment. That fosterable bucket is a treasure trove of low-hanging fruit, unless you have chosen to not really invest in new customer acquisition and you're just wringing that rag of those fosterable customers until you are squeezing blood out of them. Like you're over nurturing them, you're suffocating them, and so you literally are overdoing it. There's a fine line with the fosterability there that you really want to be healthy about, but at the same time, it's a strategy, and every company probably has a little bit different of a strategy depending on how your maintenance club is set up, what other ad options do you have? Are you multi-service? Do you do duct cleaning? Do you do dryer vent cleaning? Like, are you trenchless? Like, there's all these things that require you to sit down and think through it. But when you look at these three buckets, this is how you should allocate every dollar that you are spending towards marketing needs to go into one of those buckets. So when you say, okay, I am paying this vendor X amount of dollars every month, and I am going to put that in the discoverable bucket. right? So you're in the discoverable bucket. The expectation is the performance there is that I can see it inside of my marketing dashboard, inside of Searchlight, whatever you're working with. You want to be able to see the growth there in revenue, but we need to be connecting all of the dots. And that's where a lot of things start falling apart. Like Lemonseed was literally built on helping contractors connect all of those dots because when I stepped into McWilliams in 2014, my dad thankfully was actually an above average contractor on how he understood marketing. But we were with a company at the time that was doing very canned content in our newsletters. Everything was very canned. There was no imagination. It was very much like I took to them. I'm about to age myself, but when Google Local Services first came out, I was a part of a best practice group. And I went to my marketing company and was like, hey, what's y'all's plan for this new program called Google Local Service Ads? And they looked me dead in my face and said, huh, we've never heard of it. And I was like, okay, friends, like that's, and you can ask Emily, we are always like, we need to be 2 steps ahead of stuff that's coming out because we're marketers. Like we have an obligation, I tell our team, to be looking forward because strategy has to be able to be pushed and pulled. And a plan and a strategy are two different things. So when you get a plan with your digital company, that's what they are going to do. But the strategy is how all of your plans come together, right? Same thing like advertising are all these vendors that you use. Marketing is the culmination of all of those things coming together with your brand. And that's how you GTM, go to market with who you are. So if you're getting ready to like go to a new location, that's a go to market strategy. Are you buying a company? Are you greenfielding it, meaning like you're going to just go into a new market with no physical location? Are you doing a small office building? What are you doing? How do we make a strategy that doesn't pulverize your existing location? All of those things are strategies, not plans. I have a plan to launch a GVP over there. I have a strategy for how I'm going to drive reviews there for a short amount of time and then keep my review. Like, that's a strategy, right? So most contractors do not have strategic vision of like, how do I string all these pieces together? And again, if you are doing this on your own, this 3 bucket approach is the best way to organize your marketing and then make sure they tie well in together. So what I'm saying on my website is what I'm saying on social media is what my existing customers are seeing in emails. Am I running offers that are complicated or simple? Are they on brand? Am I talking about my maintenance program? Where am I talking about it? Am I doing a cool maintenance program? Maybe I'm going untraditional. Maybe I want to add a new service or do cross marketing. So what about all of your HVAC company clients that have not used your plumbing side or your electrical side, right? Is there someone in your market that offers another service that you don't, that you could share? My family owns a pest control company, and then I work with a girl that owns a roofing company. Well, a big billboard came open in an area of our town north of us that doesn't normally come open because I work so hard with those vendors. They're like, hey, rare opportunity. I split the board down the middle as an expensive board, and the design just looked like 2 different boards. And I just split it between 2 clients, right? Because we can think creatively if we just work well together, but understanding where we're placing our budget in those buckets and then having reasonable expectations is very important. So the other thing I'll tell you is branding creates emotional trust well before the customer ever calls you. This, I love to tell this story. When I came back on to my family's company here in East Texas, we were doing, I don't know, maybe like $7 or $8 million. And my brother was like, hey, we're getting ready to buy these other companies. We need to hit the gas. So he made me like the community marketer. And if you've ever heard me talk before, I'm a sucker for a good community marketing program. I literally was like paid to just go into the market, talk about who we were, talk about what we did. Well, I went to a chamber of commerce function, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm back at the family's company. And, and she's like, oh yeah, I need to call you guys. And I was like, okay, well, thanks for choosing us. And she goes, who else would I pick? Is there another HVAC company in Lufkin? And I was like, look at the Lord. I am winning today, because that's exactly how we want all of our people to feel. You want to feel like you are 5 Mile famous, and then you just get bigger and bigger and bigger. But it starts by keeping your eye on a hyper local thing and branding yourself so well that people know that you're the trustworthy, you're the whatever you feel like your differentiator is. You're the quick company, you are the affordable company. People poo poo on that too much. If that's your vibe, you just need to own it. I don't want you chasing bottom of the pile, but affordable is not always a bad idea. It requires strategy, but affordable again, I don't want, no pun intended here, discount it too much. You just it needs a strategy so that you can keep from the low end people that just want to nickel and dime you to death. But defining who you are as a company. And then honestly, guys, if your brand is not authentic, your logo and your van wraps and taglines, all of that needs to be very authentic to who you are. And I'll tell you, the longer you continue to build a brand that's very dry and boring and not very story driven, the longer you are costing yourself more money in the long run, because what you're doing is you're having to work really hard because there's nothing in your look. Crystal's heating and air in red and blue with a snowflake on the side of my van. It's really, unless I really own that and there's a big mascot of my little chunky face on the side of every van driving around, it's really hard to build a brand where it's memorable. Because honestly, there's 27,000 mics, heating and air, and they just blend in, because unless you go and create a true brand strategy, you're blending. Therefore, you're not even helping yourself stand out. Like in your memorable bucket, you know what you need to be able to put? My freaking logo is awesome. My mascot is awesome. It helps me stand out. And some of y'all might think yours is awesome and you need a little dose of reality. I love every one of you, but you have to like remove your emotions sometimes to go, is this really good? Let me seek some professional advice. Notice I said professional, because if you ask your own team, they don't want to change anything. Your team is a terrible way to build a brand, because really, when you build brands that stand out and do cool things and really rise above the rest, they're risky. And you know what? Most people are not risky. Most people are like, I would never, everyone knows mine. I hear this too every day. Everyone knows me. I'm like, buy this house with an electrical plug sticking out of the top. And I will show them there's 20 of those literally within an hour drive of you. And like roofing companies, guess what they all have in their logo? A roof, right? So it's not agnostic to one brand, right? It's very agnostic, like all of us do it. And listen, people are like, why is your company name Lemon Seed? And when I tell them the story, they're like, that makes sense for y'all. That tracks. And so I crave for contractors to have this authentic brand that's truly who they are, not like off of a shelf, like, well, this looks good, I'll take the parrot. Like, we got a client one time who came to us and I was talking to them and I was like, oh my gosh, this brand is so like Margaritaville cute so like, do you like Jimmy Buffett? Do you like parrots? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, do you have parrots? Do you rehab parrots? Why a parrot? He's like, I don't know. This is just what the company told me to choose. So I was like, do you know how hard it is to now authentically be in that brand space? It's very hard. And so you guys deserve authenticity, because everyone has a story to tell. Everyone. You do not have to have a sob story or this really big coming up story, nor do you have to be like, oh, I've been family owned for 100 years. You can just be a kick butt person that you and your partner, husband, sister, whatever, started a company 3 years ago because you wanted to and you saw opportunity, right? You still have a cool story to tell. We should help you build that brand. So when you build those brands, you do really cool things. It helps there be teeth. I know that sounds so weird, but teeth for your messaging. And so like with Lemon Seed, we can write things zesty. We can squeeze the best out of it. We can juice it. We can be bright. We can be fresh. We can plant seeds. It just gives so much more variety to our messaging, right? It helps with community presence. You can name your community presence around your brand. But right now, what I see is a combination of problems, especially if you're participating in groups like this. You guys know, my East Texas came out. Y'all know to do marketing, right? You guys know you should have a website with SEO, and now, the other sides of that. You guys know to have good brands. Y'all know to do social media, but the trickiest part is, how do I put this all together? and also not chasing every new vendor that flashes across our social media channels, right? So like, oh my gosh, my friend over here, who by the way is in a different state with a different service and a different brand and a different budget, she said it worked for her. I need to go do it. And then I'm like, okay, you don't even have budget to do what we need to do yet, much less this is a third step tactic to tie in, not where you are. So you guys, I really want to encourage you guys to think through strategically how and when you're adding in different things. And most of us, all of us, we need foundational work. Emily and I look at each other all the time and say, okay, let's go back to basics. Is our website good? Do we need to update it? What do our forms look like? What does our onboarding look like? Who's taking the phone calls? We still have to figure those things out ourselves because foundationally, it's really important that you have a solid foundation. Then all the other things you can add on are icing. But if your foundational cake is just not good and you've not built enough trust in the market where people know who you are, that takes a different type of currency, right? Like that community involvement in social media, a lot of that takes time, which is sometimes more expensive than money, right? I think we can all agree. I have less time sometimes than I have money. I'd rather give you money. Just do it for me than I would give you an hour of my day. An hour of my day sometimes feels like I do not have another hour in the day for anything else, much less to go out here and dance around and make a trending TikTok video, right? Not my jam. But what I do have time to do is invest in a strategy so that I can at least justify to myself, okay, I have a content day today because I need to shoot content and I need to go make this ready to go, right? But when I want to, one more thing, discoverability, right? Making sure that when people are in your market and searching for your service in your city, that when customers are ready to buy, you are ready to answer their search. So just ensure that your company, you need to be asking hard questions of whoever's doing your SEO, your PPC, your GLSA. If you've got somebody working on your Google business profile, somebody working on your maps, whatever you've got going on, you need to be asking them, are you showing up where people are searching? And right now there are three types of people that we need to be serving. Three types of customers. This is newish-ish. Okay. This is newish. Number one, the traditional searcher, the traditional person that is going to Google or Bing and searching for the service. AC repair near me, plumbing repair near me, whatever, right? Second is the Chat GPT, Perplexity, and Claude people. So now I'm back on the same website. So I'm asking them, okay, am I serving the Google searcher? Am I serving the Perplexity searcher? And then also, can I start getting prepared for agent to agent booking? Now, let me tell you, that is, listen, I don't know. I'm going to tell y'all how old I am, but I graduated in like Y2K in 2000, where the world was going to end and everybody thought we would have flying cars by now when I was in high school. Like literally, you open up those little time capsules that you do when you're like in sixth grade, like what's going to be happening. We opened it up and people thought we were going to be the freaking Jetsons, right? Like flying cars. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you right now with super advanced companies that are really working on cool things for AI, the agentic to agentic booking, it is super cool. And we actually are doing this right now. A lot of you are using Alexa, Google's, all that of the world to do a lot of things for you already. Clear my calendar, turn on a timer, simple things. But now you need your website to respond when they say, hey, Alexa, will you book, something's wrong with my AC. Will you call my AC company? Well, I need to have trained my Alexa to know that Crystal's Heating and Air is my AC company. If not, guess what Alexa's going to go do? Searching for the best person near you. And if your website cannot communicate to those things, they don't even get looked at. They're not even considered. And so again, do we panic right now? Absolutely not. And most of you need to be working with your digital partner to say, hey, am I working towards these things? I don't think we need to forego. I'll go a little crazy here. I don't think you need to forego traditional marketing right now. As a matter of fact, on the branding and community involvement and social media content side, you better dial it up if you want me to be honest. Because right now, that user experience and people talk user generated content is what honestly I think most agents are actually getting most access to. But just don't we feel good when we feel a little bit more prepared? And I use this biblical reference all the time. Everybody thought Noah was crazy while he was building the ark until it started to rain. Fair? So I feel like we're feeling sprinkles and we see dark clouds in the sky, and some of us are like, probably not. Never going to happen. It's years away. And I literally am sitting over here like, if you're reading anything from Google, Google every single day is saying, hey, don't stop traditional SEO, but have you done this? Are you on Reddit? Are you doing Reddit? So, and you're just like, okay, this is changing hourly. So I just don't want you guys to look up and be like, dang it, I wish I would have built my brand 6 months ago and then really got it prepared for AI. Like, you need to be training these LLMs what your brand even is, what your levels of price points are. So I'm not as crazy as others out there, like scaring, doing a bunch of crazy stuff. But I will tell you that I see it, and we don't have to panic. We just need to have some pivot to us, right? We just need to be thinking. And those of you that are the vendor side of life, like Emily and I are, we spend a lot of time thinking about, okay, what do we need to be doing for our own businesses? So those of you that are on here that aren't maybe a contractor, it doesn't not apply to us as well. And like, there's like, think about the changes that were just made with Google's algorithm or their update on reviews. They made all these reviews. I think it's literally getting ready to be more and more crawlable and readable by AI agents. I just see it coming. And so they're like, stop asking for names and things like that, because I'm going to tell you, they want user generated content. But they want it to be authentic. And I think they decided that those were too scripted. So I don't even think it's a big deal right now for people to say Logan was amazing when he was at my house. I think it's when you're like pushing it and it's in every freaking review. I think AI is like, this is canned content, right? And I think they're training them to be able to read like legitimate and authentic content. So, but existing customers are your fastest source of revenue when done correctly. Emails and texting and outbound calling, seasonal content, relationship building. You are a customer, that's why you're getting this perk kind of stuff. And it's easy to do to keep top of mind. New customer acquisition is expensive. You should be tracking how many new customers you get every month. What percentage of your income every month was from new customers versus existing, because we need to identify a pattern. If it's almost all existing, like, that's a red flag. We've got to pivot a little bit and get some new customers. So I know that I've talked quite a bit here. So Emily, I wanted to open it up however you guys want to do it to anyone that wants to just give some, I haven't been watching the chat, but anyone that wants to give or ask questions.
Yeah, yeah. Great information. And I see we have a question down the chat. And so if you guys also have a question, feel free to come off mute and ask, or pop it in the chat. Even if you yourself marketing isn't your title, you might have a question, or know that like this is a general frustration among the company, or maybe like, hey, I know my marketing friend here in my office has been struggling with this. Like, feel free to ask any questions with that. And so Katie asked a question down the chat, and I think it's a very common one that we see a lot with contractors. But they had what they thought good marketing set up in Service Titan for tracking. Turns out that's not the case. But they've actually had to drop their marketing budget some, but revenue has increased. But how should they even get started? And like, what is the best way to track marketing?
So I'm going to assume, Katie, that you have tracking numbers. So let me tell you that one of the things that Lemon Seed does day one, what we try to do day one, you need to go, if you don't have tracking numbers set up, just you eat an elephant and a cookie the same way, one bite at a time, right? So the first step is to coach yourself to not be overwhelmed, because some of you would open up your tracking numbers and be like, forget it. I'm out. Peace out. There's 1,000 numbers in here. But I start backwards, right? So like, okay, on my website, what is the number, and does it match my Google business profile number? Is everything matching across my digital platform, right? As best I can. And then I clean that up. So I start one at a time, making sure that things that I want to be trackable, that I'm spending a lot of money on, I want to make sure I get a tracking number tied in. Most of you should be on the package that has tracking numbers. If you're not, for some reason, CallRail is a good option. It's sad to me. CallRail will tell you who called what number, but then you have to go do a little bit more legwork to be able to see what was actually generated in revenue from that call, even if it claims to have an integration. Integration is kind of a cuss word to me because they lie. A true integration would be like being able to see it all the way down to the actual point of what money it made. So, hey, this person clicked on my pay-per-click ad, booked a call. We went out there, diagnosed a problem, sent a sales guy, sold a system, and it generated, $20,000. That's what we need to see. But to do that, we've got to have our operations dialed in so they make sure that they book the actual. And Jessica can probably answer this better, but the biggest thing I see, the reason that numbers don't match up is they click from your PPC ad, your technician goes out there and says they have a grounded compressor or whatever, and then the office books a whole new ticket for the install of the new system. So now your PPC does not get the attributed revenue correctly. So you're like, this PPC campaign is terrible. And I'm like, you really have to evaluate. Well, PPC said I got 100 leads. And I'm over here like I got 20 leads. So there's a disconnect somewhere. But tracking numbers are the best start of that. And another thing, and I hope this is okay, I really did not check this, is Searchlight fine? Searchlight is also a cool connection piece for those of you that really like to see the full picture. But honestly, if I was on a smaller budget, I would be all up in my marketing dashboard with those tracking numbers.
Yeah, because basically what happened is the old operations manager created a ton of campaigns. Not all of them have proper tracking numbers. And then they use like one main number that people call in from. They have no idea where they got that number from. And then like there's not a tracking number for certain Google ads. So like CPC and Google local, like there's no differentiating which one is what. It drives me nuts. So trying to clean all of that up. And then like you were saying, they have trained the CSRs to basically, once a job has sold, we basically go in, convert that estimate, and we change the campaign from, let's say it's a Google lead, we change it to existing customer.
Okay, so Emily said that because my eye starts twitching for you. My eye starts twitching for you, Katie, because you're right to be like, we don't want to be changing campaigns. So here's what I've learned to do. I'm going to address two things at the same time. Number one, start with your website, your digital footprint. See if you can find the tracking number. If you can't, build a new one. Just don't get rid of any numbers at this moment until you can go a long time, like I would say 12 months with no calls coming in on those numbers. And then maybe you can just start reassigning them to things, right? But start with your digital presence. Start with things like if you're doing direct mail or anything that's in print, tracking numbers are pivotal to this. But probably what they did is a lot of that might be email campaigns that they did, because email campaigns will stack up on you really quick. And there is smarter people than me on the inside of Service Titan. Like I see Christina's on here. I see Jessica's on here. Like people that can answer a little bit more of like, how detrimental is it to get rid of some of our tracking numbers when what's a good amount of time? Because what you really need to be doing, Katie, is confirming good numbers and either ignoring or getting past ones that don't work until you're getting it cleaned up literally month by month. But I also want to answer this existing customer. To me, if a customer has not done work with you, and this number is debatable, if they have not used you for a service in the last 18 months, and that's a long time, but in the last 18 months, they're not an existing customer. And if they are, then they will directly search your name and land on your GBP and call you. Okay. Because that's how it works now. It's not existing customers are not like they used to be in the 90s where, I mean, how many of you remember your home phone number, right? As a kid, right? So existing customer is a cuss word to me because it will skew what really happened really, really, really bad. because people will say, well, they used us in 1998 to add a pound of Freon in their system. Even though they called from GLSA, we're going to give that credit to existing customer. And I'm like, friend, if they called you from Google Local Services, they didn't even search your name. They searched in the wild, wild west, like, who's the HVAC company around me? And they accidentally called you. That's literally what happens most of the time.
My
And
favorite
this is
question
debatable.
is, where did you find our number today? Not how did you hear about us today? Because the
Oh, that's
answer
good.
might be the sticker on my furnace, or you're saved in my phone, but it gets deeper than how did you hear about us?
I love that. That's a great tip.
That is a great tip.
And so, again, this is one of those things that feels very overwhelming, Katie, but I would just encourage you to start. Digital is the easiest place to start. And then work with your digital vendor to say, hey, I really need to get more one-to-one tracking set up. What do you need from me inside of my Service Titan for that to happen?
And a lot of times the team just has to understand the why, like why are we not changing this? Because we are trying to better track and measure our marketing. And sometimes they just don't have any frame of reference to that. So we have to like tell them and loop them in onto why it's important. And down in the chat, Renee is saying that you can turn on the configuration to not allow them to be able to change the campaign on the job booking. And Christina 100%ed that one as well too. It can be challenging. Another question I think is pretty common, you know, um, oh, I just lost the question. So
Renee's question?
yes. So really struggling with the digital marketing vendor. And it varies from market to market, but do you have a baseline for what metrics the digital side should be tracked and what should be paid the most attention to, especially for PPC and SEO?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And it has happened all the time. So PPC, cost per lead. It needs to be a manageable cost per lead. I want to tell you guys something too. Like when I get, because I'm going to give some numbers because I have some numbers, but it varies so much. That's why it's so hard to find like your cost per lead. Because let me tell you, little old East Texas, those of us that are rural, I'm not paying more than $150 for a lead. You can't give, you can't buy a piece of gum worth of a lead in Dallas, Texas for $150 or Phoenix or Vegas. So this is all relative to your market, if you will. But for PPC, cost per lead, and then honestly, internally, what is your booking rate? Because, and you have got to book things, those are imperative. So if you suck at answering the phones, please do not launch PPC because it is just like, here we go. Like you might as well go outside in the front yard, look at everybody in the face and burn up a couple $100 and then walk back in and be like, well, it's because I needed to be off half a day. Like I get it, but that's basically what you would have to do. So I think it's important. Cost per lead needs to be under control. Your booking rate, and basically your click-through rate of those would need to be important. And then I pulled up my last time that I gave out some numbers. So, like smaller markets, I would say you should be less than $150, $150 on PPC. There's less competition. There's less people spending money. Lots of reasons that rural markets tend to trend lower. Not competitive, it's about to get buck wild for the Dallas Phoenix of the world. So, Atlanta, it wouldn't surprise me to see cost per lead on a true air conditioning problem lead on an of age equipment being at $500, $600. So you got to be on it. You have to be on it during peak season. Now, I can say to me, I would be comfortable if anything's, if I could get anything less than 400, $350, I'd feel like I was living good. But again, it's very all over the place. But your booking rate on those needs to be 70 to 85% on your booking rates from PPC, because if it's lower than that, I would start looking at my CSRs, or if you've got virtual booking, or if you've got a lead form turned on, just make sure that there's not something missing that's not speed to lead, baby, capturing those leads. I know y'all probably get sick of that, but it's really got to be good. So cost per customer new acquisition, I would be aiming for anything 500 and less. Again, I know that's so gross. I know it is. I wish I gave a better answer. I hate PPC. I know it's a must. It's like a necessary evil, but that's why I'm like, please go turn on, like, go get crazy with your social media. Let's do some direct mail. Let's do yard signs, things that are much more fun. to spend money on, because Google is also, I call it clickety clacking around. People just clickety clacking around with your money. At least with GLSA, I get some sort of directional push, you know?
Well,
Um, uh-huh.
I think a couple points there, like how you said at the very, very beginning of, do not invest in marketing if your operations are not ready for it, or you can't handle it. So like just to like what your point about, with PPC, you're spending all this money, you're trying to drive all these leads, but like if you can't execute on it, if you can't book the call or you're not going to answer the call, like it is just going to heighten that cost per lead, because you're paying
Absolutely.
so much more that you're not able to execute on it.
But
But then also to the point of you want people to have known and seen you and experienced you in some other way. They've experienced your brand. You've really built up that brand so they can search for you directly. And you're not duking it out in PPC or GLSA with every other competitor. Like invest in your brand. It's definitely your marathon approach, your marathon strategy. The PPC that's your sprint right now, but it's gross and it's
And listen, yeah, those of you that are small. So when me and my sister launched and my brother launched our pest control company, some of y'all are going to vomit. But we decided we wanted to be at $500,000 in our first year. So we acquired this little bitty company for the license that was doing like $110,000 a year. And then we went and spent 25% in marketing. Okay, 25%. Before we ever had the first maintenance contract for pest control, Emily had designed the brand, built the mascot. We had ordered a jingle and ordered a mascot and bought radio marketing, because I know what it takes. I don't know. I can't convince others, or there's just a cash issue. I mean, we were blessed with some cash to start with. So if you're smaller, you got to just know where to start. But again, if you've got to use lead aggregators at the beginning, remember your goal is right now it's looking like this. You need that to slowly need those leads less and less and less, because more people are knowing you, and that takes hustle. But at the end of the day, the questions that I would be asking my digital provider every single meeting, if they're not giving you a meeting, they're in the wrong. I know y'all heard this. You need to own every account that you have, every ads account you have. You should own your URL and all the content on it. You should own, or at least understand why you don't. Okay. But are your calls increasing? Are you booking 75% of them? And what are you doing operationally so that you can fire back honestly when they say, I sent you 103 leads? We actually booked 75% of those, but it looks like they were tire kickers. So we need to go change our market, our strategy, our messaging, right? That's a good two-way conversation. Also, you need to know if your organic and branded search is increasing. But I tell them this every time. If you're a client of Lemon Seed, you'll hear my people say, we've never made payroll off of clicks and impressions. Love that for you. Love that KPI for them. And it is a part of the mindset of marketing, is clicks and reach do matter. But what matters more to me is that I'm investing 10,000 and I'm generating 10 times that in revenue. And so you've got to ask those hard questions and just say, forgive me if this is too elementary. And you're going to make some of y'all's vendors very uncomfortable when you get educated about it, because it forces them to come to the table, but they need access. I don't know how they're giving you any feedback when they can't tell you what's in your service titan. They're only going to tell you clicks and impressions. And odds are it's blended between organic, like your own name, and just raw search. So you just need to get a little bit smarter about your questions that you're asking, or more educated about it. But at the end of the day, am I booking more calls that generate more revenue? And if I'm not, it's not working. I don't have enough money to be a nonprofit, right? So I've got to be more focused there.
So Caitlin's asking, where would you recommend reallocating your marketing budget from PPC in the DFW area or DFW market? The cost per lead results have not made sense for them.
For PPC, for sure, I can see why.
Yeah.
So I would say I would make sure that I was optimized like nobody's business on GLSA. You probably are. But again, I also would be on my GBP every single day, answering everything I can answer, posting pictures, posting updates, just really making the most of that. And then I think I would look at a retargeting ad. If I knew I had decent web traffic there, I would focus on probably some type of social media retargeting, meaning people that are on my social media and going to my website. I want to feed them ads because they're already showing interest. And then I want to clear out anybody that's my existing customer. So build a lookalike audience around who you actually are already serving, and then scrub out your customers But then people that are visiting your website and your social channels, feed those people ads. I would probably do that. And then I would honestly invest in content, like literal video content for social media. And then if one of them takes off, use that as an ad. That's what I would do. Anybody else? Those are good questions.
Yes, feel free to come off mute if you have a question, drop it in the chat. I know Crystal will take anything you got at her.
Yeah. And while I'm waiting on that, Emily, do you want me to tell how lemon seed works, or
Sure, yeah.
I don't know how y'all do that. Sure.
Yeah.
So just real quick, I think a lot of people are like, what do y'all do? Lemon seed marketing is basically fractional chief marketing officers and expert branding for companies. So our goal is to help you have a great brand presence overall, meaning logos down to your brand story, down to who you are, all those cool things. Also with vendor management and strategy and campaign building, when you need to push, when you need to pull, things like that. So I'd love to visit with anybody to see if lemon seed's a good fit for them. And thanks for letting me be here. I will put my email here. I call Friends and Family Talk free. So I don't even know if most of you are old enough to remember that, I could put you in my top 10 list and talk to you for free during the day. Emily does not. Emily does not get a lot of my jokes because I was born in 1981 and she was not. But yeah.
Yeah, so Crystal's dropping her information down in the chat. Y'all stop it here. April, I see you have a question. Your hand
Oh, I
raised.
just wanted to say one of my clients is signing with Lemon Seed and with online access, has met with them in the last week. And it was really interesting. I was not on the Lemon Seed call, but I was on the call with Colleen and her, like, I just wanted to say what you just said, what you do and other people do. Like, you sounded almost exactly like her. I know you guys have an amazing partnership. And he called me this morning and he said, I have so much more peace of mind of how my marketing is going to be managed. He said it's been the biggest stressor in his business. And, he just didn't really understand how it was all tied together. And why do I need two separate companies? And now he does, she explained it in very layman terms. And I just think it gives him a lot of peace of mind and he's going to have clarity. And I have no doubt he's going to see a lot of return on investment. He is in San Francisco, which is very tricky. And he's right in the city of San Francisco. And he could not be more excited about starting with both of you guys.
Well, thank you. And this is
Good.
not
Thanks,
intended,
April.
to be a plug necessarily for Lemon Seed, but we know and understand
No.
marketing is a puzzle and like a chess
Right.
game that you never get to get up from. And so,
And I'm also happy to connect you. Like, we work with lots of great, but we work
yeah,
with Powerhouse, we work with Jessica. We're happy to connect you. If you just need a solid connection, like, of course, you don't have to work with Lemon Seed. We're just an option. But I love helping contractors because I am one. I love helping you like figure out some little like, this is stupid right here. Like, what the heck is this? Like, why am I paying for this? Or like Katie said, so many people are cleaning up somebody else's mess sometimes, and they're like, I don't even know where to start. This is terrible, and I hate marketing. And sometimes I just got through telling Emily, like, I've helped this people for like 2 years lately, like 2 years, this ongoing support here and there. And it's just not always what it is. But honestly, when you help people, especially, that's what this whole community is about. So this is not about me pitching Lemon Seed for sure. I just want you guys to know that Emily and I are a resource for you if you just need to know what vendors have been helping others and things like that.
yeah. And we know marketing can be a challenging thing. And so, Lemon Seed and more important, the Lady Titans community is definitely here to help in any which way. There's a whole wealth of knowledge here in this. And so, Crystal, thank you for your time today and for sharing with us. Thank you all for being here and participating. Join us next month, June 10th, for our Lady Titans Lounge. So that is where it's completely unscripted. If you want to talk more marketing questions or like, hey, what are you spending? How are you allocating it? How are you measuring success? That's a great way to do that. And it could be about marketing or it can be something completely different. The lounge is that safe open space for that. So that's June 10th at 12 noon Central Time. And then our next Spotlight series, just very similar to this, will be on June 16th at 12 noon Central Time. So we dropped down in the chat the form for a committee. So again, if you are interested in joining Lady Titans to find more spotlight speaker series like this, you feel free to join in that way. If you're interested in being on our marketing team, if you're interested in joining our committee for our party that we're going to have at Pantheon, there is something to get you more plugged in and more involved. And we love this community. So thank you all for joining us today. Have a fantastic Tuesday and great rest of your week. And summer's almost here, so we'll hit the ground running. But thank you all for being here.
Good luck, guys. Bye.